Hi, I'm Nelson, and this is the Sir Nelson IELTS and General English Training. In this video, we're going to learn how to write an essay. Before you write an essay, you must have a topic. The topic we're going to use is discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the internet. An essay has three parts: the introduction, the body, and the general conclusion. Remember, an essay has three parts. An essay should be organized. When you're writing, when you're presenting your ideas, the reader should understand your work. How? By organizing your ideas. Your ideas should be organized into the introduction, the body, and the general conclusion. Remember, English is a language which is very organized. We organize ideas for our readers to understand what to write. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to write the introduction. In another video, I will teach you how to write the body and the general conclusion. But first, let's look at some synonyms. What are synonyms? Synonyms mean different words, same meaning. We have advantages, disadvantages. We don't have to say advantages, disadvantages all the time. Sometimes we should use synonyms. These synonyms usually go in pairs. When you have advantages, we expect to hear the disadvantages. Read after me. Number one, advantages. Disadvantages. Number two, pros, cons. Number three, remember to read after me, positives, negatives. Number four, benefits, drawbacks. 5, strengths. That's a difficult word for some of you. Strengths, weaknesses. Number 6, merits, demerits. Let's learn how to write the introduction. When you're writing the introduction, you should be organized. An introduction has parts. The first part of the introduction is called the general statement. I'm going to give you some of the common general statements that will help you out on almost each and every topic. Useful words and phrases. Number 1, number 2. The issue is taken from the topic. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the internet. The issue there is the internet. The issue is the subject, is the problem, is the issue. The issue is the subject that is being talked about. The issue of the internet has caused a public debate among us. Number 2, in our time and age, much debate has taken place about the issue of the internet. 3, recently, the phenomenon. Phenomenon means issue. So you don't have to say issue all the time. A phenomenon is the subject, is an issue. Recently, the phenomenon of the internet has caused a big concern. Number 4, there is a controversy. A controversy is an issue, is a subject, but usually the one where people cannot agree. There is a controversy over the issue of the internet. Number 5, recently, the issue of the internet has been brought into public focus. You will need only one. You pick one of these to write your introduction. Practice 1. Of course, for you to remember this, you have to get your pen and notebook and start writing. Practice 1. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the internet. Write down 3 general statements. I've given you 5. After copying the 5, write practice 1. Choose only 3 and write them down here. The purpose of this is to help your mind memorize, to remember these, to remember at least 3 general statements. Part 2 of the introduction. Remember, The first part of the introduction is the general statement. The second part is the first side. Our topic is discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the internet. So the first part is the advantages of the internet. The second part is the disadvantages of the internet. Now we have to introduce the first side. How do we introduce the first side? We need linking phrases. Remember, English is a language of linking phrases. Linking phrases help people to understand what you're talking about. Linking phrases warn people what is coming. So before you write the first side, you need one of these phrases. Some people say that. Number two, it is said that. They mean the same thing, but you need only one. If you begin with it, then you have to use the past participle. It is said. Some people say. Number two, we don't know who says. Number one, some people. We don't know the specific person, but we know there are people who say that. Other phrases for some people. Now, you don't have to use some people all the time. You can use one, most people, many people, a lot of people. But you use this when you are sure there are really many. If you are not sure, it is better to use some people. Numerous people, various people, a sizable percentage of people, a majority of people. Now, these can replace the word some people. Practice 2. Remember, we had practice 1 where we copied 3 general statements. Practice 2. Some people say that the internet has many advantages. It is said that the internet has many advantages. There are 2 ways. Now, instead of using the verb say, we can use argue. Some people argue that. It is argued that. Number 5, remember to write these full sentences. Some people argue that the internet has many advantages. It is argued that the internet has many advantages. Number 5, some people believe that the internet has many advantages. Number 6, it is believed that the internet has many advantages. Remember, don't use the word many, don't use the word advantages, don't use the word some people all the time. Use the synonyms. Don't use the verb say. Some people suggest that the internet has many advantages. It is suggested that the internet has many advantages. Don't use the word advantages. Go and choose when you're writing this first side. Think that. Some people think that the internet has many advantages. It is thought that the internet has many advantages. Contend, contended, proclaim, proclaimed. Now we are introducing the first side. So it is better to write the sentences in full such that you learn the different verbs. Practice 3. Now write the introduction. An introduction. Now our introduction has 2 parts, the general statement and the first side. For example, there is a controversy over the issue of the internet. Some people say that it has many advantages. Recently, the issue of the internet has been brought into public focus. It is said that the internet has many advantages. These are my examples. You are going to write yours soon. Synonyms of many, you don't have to use the word many all the time. Instead of many, you can say several, various, numerous. Now, write your introduction. Remember to use synonyms. Don't use the word advantages. We are introducing the first side. Our introduction has the general statement and the first side. Part 3 of the introduction, contrasting phrases. To contrast means the opposite, from one side to the other. When you're writing an introduction, you begin with the general statement and the first side. Now, before you go to the second side, you have to warn the readers that now I'm going to the other side. Now, these contrasting phrases introduce the second side. Read after me. However, on the other hand, nonetheless, on the other side, nevertheless, on the contrary, whereas, on the other side, while, on the other hand. Be careful with the punctuation. The punctuation is important because you are learning this for writing purposes. Introduction, for example. Now, our introduction has three parts: the general statement, the first side, and the contrasting phrase. The contrasting phrase is warning us that we are going to the second side. So after the contrasting phrase, then we shall introduce the second side. Add a contrasting phrase to your introduction. Remember, you already have two parts. Add a third part. Part 4 of the introduction, introduce the second side. Before you introduce the second side, you need a linking phrase. Others say that. Remember, the first side was the internet has many advantages. The second side is the internet has many disadvantages. But before you put that, you can say others say that. Like we have seen, you don't have to use the word say all the time. You choose any of these. Others say, use any of these verbs instead of say, and then you add the second side. Now, our introduction has 4 parts: the general statement, the first side, the contrasting phrase, and the second side. Remember, the first and the second side are introduced with linking phrases. Linking phrases warn us that this is coming. Now, we have completed the 2 sides. What is our next? Practice 5. Add the second side to your introduction. Remember, you are developing your own introduction. Our next part of the introduction is you respect both sides. There are people who believe in advantages, others believe in disadvantages. You respect both sides. Now, to respect, you can use any of these statements. These sentences show that you respect other people's opinions. Both opinions have strong reasons. Both sides are reasonable. Both sides have sound arguments. Views on this issue vary from person to person. It's quite natural for different people to have different views. This issue is so controversial that people can hardly reach an agreement or consensus. Both sides are supported by good reasons. Admittedly, there are advantages and disadvantages on both sides. It's very important that you add this because it shows that you respect the opinions of people you don't agree with. Now, this is our introduction. It has number 1, the general statement, the first side, the contrasting phrase, the second side, and then you respect both opinions. Our introduction now has 5 parts. Let's practice. Add a sentence to respect both opinions. Pick one from up and you add it to your introduction, the one that you are developing. Next, the 6th part of the introduction is you give your own opinion. We have seen the opinion of other people. What about yours? You can choose any of these to give your own opinion. Number 1, in my opinion, I agree with the first point of view. Now, you don't have to always agree with the first point of view. You can also agree with the second point of view, depending on your thinking. As far as I'm concerned, I agree with the first point of view. So you have to choose one of these to show that this is where I am standing. Number 5, 6, 7, 8, all of these are introducing your opinion in the introduction. It's very important that you give your opinion in the introduction. Synonyms. You don't have to use the word agree all the time. You can say, I agree with, I'm for, I'm in favor of, I side with, I share, I consent to, I approve of. You don't have to say agree, agree, agree all the time. You can use any of these synonyms. Synonyms. The first point of view, the former point of view, the second point of view, the latter. Now, the first is also the former point of view. The second is also the latter. So you don't have to use the first, the second all the time. Instead of the first, you can say the former. Instead of the second, you can say the latter. Opinion. You don't have to use the word side, opinion. These are synonyms. A side is an opinion. An opinion is a viewpoint. A viewpoint is a perspective. A perspective is an argument. An argument is a view. A view is a point of view. All these are synonyms. You can use them interchangeably, such that you don't use one word all the time. Our introduction now has those parts. It has one general statement, first side, contrasting phrase, second side, respect both opinions, and you give your opinion. Practice. Add a sentence to show your opinion. Pick one of those and you add it to your paragraph, the one that we are developing. Lastly, you connect the introduction to the body. You can use any of these sentences. They connect the introduction. It is an indicator that my introduction has ended and I'm going to begin the point, the body. The reasons are presented below. 2, the reasons are discussed below. 3, I support this with the following reasons. There are many reasons supporting my view. Now, this is our complete introduction, and it has 7 parts. Practice 8. The question is, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the internet. Write the complete introduction.